All right, good afternoon, students, and welcome to a revision class for the SS3 students on essay writing. Okay, from our previous classes and previous sessions, we have done a lot on essay writing. One of the very important things you should know is that the WAEC paper 2, that is where the essay writing comes in, is one of the, should I say, one of the difficult aspects of the WAEC English exam altogether. Because this is where your writing skill will come out. This is where your writing skill will show. This is where your writing skill will come out. And those who mark the papers, your examiners, are always very, very critical about certain things. We have learned this already in the classroom, but for the sake of this video, we're going to go over some of these things that they are critical about. Number one, the examiners are critical about your tenses, your grammar. Everything you're writing should be proper. Your tenses should be properly used. I always advise students not to use this opportunity to show that they can speak English language, as in show that you know mighty words, big words. Use words you are familiar with. Use words you are comfortable with. Use words you can dance around with on paper so that you don't get into trouble with the examiners. That's the first thing. Secondly, punctuation. Punctuation has to do with your use of all the punctuation marks at the right time, at the right places as you write your essay. That is also very, very important. Use your full stops where they are necessary. Use your commas where they are necessary. Use question marks when you ask questions. Use question marks when you ask questions. Do not write a question and put a full stop. Use question marks when you ask questions. Use exclamation marks when you exclaim, especially in story writing or letter writing. We'll go into that eventually. And also paragraphs. Know when to use your paragraphs. It is really, really important. Paragraphing is important. These are some of the things that your examiners will look at, or the people marking the scripts will look at. So paragraphs, and also make sure that you use capital letters for proper nouns. That is absolutely very important. Capital letters for proper nouns. And do not use capital letters when they are not supposed to be used in between sentences. Okay, for instance, if you look at the board here, I have started this with a capital letter. There's a particular question here. Yes, look at this question. Number 3, as the president of your youth club, write a letter to the chairman of your local government association. This is a formal, this is a proper noun, and that is why it comes with a capital letter or with capital letters. So that is also to be considered. Also, because of the advent of technology, you know, we are now in an era where information goes around quickly and, you know, quickly and immediately. We tend to abbreviate our words, and this is coming into the classroom. We have looked at this. If I am chatting with a friend on WhatsApp or on Facebook or on Instagram, I am posting something, it does not really require that I write out the words in full. We have so many abbreviations out there, so many words that are cut in. In fact, in some cases, if I want to write a word, I'll just use the first letters of all the words in the sentence I want to make, sorry. And I've passed across an information or a piece of information. But students bring this into, you know, their writing, especially for examinations, and that is wrong. You know that that is wrong. Words like your, abbreviated like this, etc. and etc. You are, and all that. Okay, now let's go straight to what we have on the board. Like I said earlier on, this is a revision exercise on essay writing. I have a few questions on the board. I got this from a past question, and I'm sure you already know this because the school, our school, Sleek Angels International School, we've given you past questions to study, and you've been studying on that or with the past questions. So this is just a revision, just to keep you abreast of what is going on. And I would encourage that after watching this video, you work on any one of these questions and then send to me. My email address is stepafrica@gmail.com, or that's for mail if you want to send your write-ups via mail, or you can send it via WhatsApp 08089890203. Okay, let's get right into the essay writing. Now, WAEC standard. WAEC requires that you write an essay of not more than 450 words in all the essays. So whether you're writing a letter, or you're writing an article, or you're writing anything, their requirement is 450 words. It shouldn't exceed this. So that is why it is important for you to practice, enlarge your vocabulary, and think about ideas, practice, get ideas. It will help to enlarge your ideas, especially when you have things like this to write. All right, now the first question. Okay, another thing, what we have done in the classroom is to look at areas where students, the SS3 students in our school, what we have done is to look at the areas where they have their strengths. Some people are more comfortable writing stories than writing articles. Okay, they have a flair for story writing. They find story writing easier than any other part. So what we have done is I have asked the children to pick 2 areas that they feel they can comfortably write in during the exams, and we have been practicing with this. The students know the areas. We have just, so that once you get into the examination hall, because of the time limit, you just know that, okay, I'm coming to write a story, I will face a story, and so that's what we've been doing. Okay, now in the WAEC paper 2, usually you have 5 essay questions. You either have a formal, sometimes a formal and an informal letter, sometimes just one type of letter comes up. There is always an article to write. There's always a debate. It comes up, and then a debate or a speech. Either a debate or a speech. Sometimes it varies. Sometimes this year a debate can come out, next year a speech can come out, and then finally a story. So it's usually 5 essay questions to pick one, to answer one. Now, if you look closely to the board, I've listed out 5 questions. The first one, your friend in another school has requested information about your school to enable him to decide on moving over to your school. Write a letter to him discussing at least 3 areas in which your school excels. Very easy question, straight to the point. First thing is to identify what type of letter you are to write. And from what we have seen, you're writing to your friend, so it's obviously an informal letter. And in this informal letter, you are requested, or you are told to your friend in another school has requested information about your school to enable him to decide on moving over to your school. Now, information is general. It didn't ask for a specific piece of information. It's general. And it says you should write a letter to him discussing at least 3 areas in which your school excels. So now, these 3 areas in which your school excels will determine what information you're going to give to your friend. So, quickly in your head, the first thing we should do is think about your school. What are those areas that your school excels in? Just write them down, the 3 points. Okay? It says at least 3 areas, so which means you can discuss more. But then, I think it is always comfortable to just leave it at 3 areas because of the time. So write a letter to him discussing at least 3 areas. You are to discuss, you're not listing out. You are discussing at least 3 areas in which your school excels. Okay, so an informal letter, you know that informal letters usually have just one address. And then after the address, you greet your friend and then you go straight into what you have to write. The first paragraph of an informal letter should actually be a paragraph of where you exchange greetings. Let us know a little bit about the relationship you have with your friend. Just a little piece of information, not something too much. And then go straight to the point. So for these 3 areas, you can leave 1 paragraph for 1 area, 1 paragraph for another area, 1 paragraph for another area, and then you conclude. By the time you start paragraph 1 with greetings and a little information to show that you and your friend are actually close, paragraph 1 deals with 1 area, where you describe 1 area, paragraph 2, another area, paragraph 3, another area, and then paragraph 4, you conclude. At the end, you would have seen that you would meet up with the 450 words. So you are to discuss at least 3 areas. 1 area in which your school could excel could be in academics. Okay, you can tell your friend about how your school has excelled in academics, especially in external examinations, for instance. How, since you came into the school, or for the past 3 years or so, consistently, your school has been able to bring out students with good grades in the WAEC exam, and this is as a result of the quality of teachers you have there, number 1, their commitment to the work that they do, their commitment to the work that they do in teaching the students, their commitment in teaching and all that, and how you are drilled and everything, and how exciting it is for you, You could also talk about sports. In Sleek Angels, we're very good in sports. It's one of our very good areas, one of the areas in which we excel. You can give examples of the inter-house sports competitions that you have witnessed, and all that. So these are just key examples. And do not forget, informal letter. The language in an informal letter is actually very informal, not as formal as that of a formal letter. Well, informal letter, so it tells you that the language is informal. But informal to an extent, it doesn't mean that you should begin to speak your language, because, but then even if you have to use a local term, I have told you that even if you have to use a local term, at the end of your essay, or the end of the letter, after you've finished everything, you just put an asterisk, write the word you used, the local word you used, in quotes. Okay, for instance, if I say shebi or something, I'm just giving an example. If I say shebi, if I use that in the course of my writing, at the end I just put this at the end of the letter and tell whoever is marking what shebi means. But it's not something that should be done all the time. I would advise that you don't even do it, but just in case it comes in, you should do this. And then your salutation at the end of the letter, yours truly, your friend, whatever, you can use a nickname, but just make sure that you end with a salutation. Because sometimes as students we forget, students usually forget sometimes. They are so engrossed with writing the letter and they forget. Make sure that all your I's are dotted and all your T's are crossed. So that is for the first one. Now the next one is an article. You have to write an article for publication in your school magazine, discussing again. You are discussing. You're not just listing out. You are discussing the reasons why children in your area drop out of school and suggesting ways of minimizing it. Now, this is another lengthy one and another tricky one too. Tricky in the sense that you have to organize your thoughts properly. Now, you're writing an article for publication in your school magazine. You have looked at what you've been given to write. So the first thing is summarize what you have been given into a topic, because you must write a topic. If you're writing an article for publication, you must come with a topic. So what topic do you think you could get from this? I won't tell you. That's why you have my email address and my WhatsApp number. Okay, so be creative. Just develop a topic from this. If I give you my topic now, you may use it as yours. So just develop a topic. That should be the first thing. And then it says you are to discuss the reasons why children in your area drop out of school and suggesting ways of minimizing it. There are two ways you can do this. You can discuss the reasons why children drop out, first of all. After discussing it, then you go down and then give your suggestions of minimizing it, okay? Or you can give one reason and give the suggestion, one reason and give the suggestion. It depends. However, what? All right, so as I was saying, you're writing an article, you discuss the reasons why children in your area drop out of school. There are many reasons why children drop out of school. So many reasons. So you have to be creative and then suggest ways of minimizing it. What some students do is that they can give you reasons, and at the end they don't suggest ways. WAEC is asking for two things now. You're giving reasons and you're giving suggestions. So if you give reason 1, you should give suggestion for reason 1. If you give reason 2, give suggestions for reason 2. If you give reason 3, give suggestions for reason 3. And then your final paragraph conclude. It's an article. And usually at the end of an article, you write your name and your class. Since you're writing for a school magazine, take note. You're not writing for a magazine outside of the school. It's your school magazine. So at the end, after you've written down all your points, you should write your name and then the class. All right. Then thirdly, as the president of your youth club, write a letter to the chairman of your local government association complaining about the increasing rate of child labor and suggesting ways of curbing it. It's similar. Number 3 question is a formal letter, unlike the question of number 1. Number 1 is an informal letter. Number 3 is a formal letter. And formal letters have their own ways. You already know what the ways of writing a formal letter, but just for the sake of this video, we'll go through it again. I was saying earlier on that this question is similar to the article, because here you're discussing reasons why children in your area drop out of school. Here, you are not discussing. It says, write a letter to chairman. You are complaining. You are complaining. You are complaining about the increasing rate of child labor and suggesting ways of curbing it. Okay. There was something I missed out. In number 2, it didn't tell us how many reasons. We were not told how many reasons to write. It just says discussing the reasons. Now, I would advise that in giving reasons, okay, if you are very good with your pen and words, I would think that 3 reasons should be enough because of examination, because it's an examination setting. 3 reasons should be enough, as long as you can extensively explain what needs to be explained in the 3 reasons, okay? So 3 reasons are okay, but then if you want to extend it to 4, it's all right. Just do not exceed 450 words. So same thing with the president of your youth club. When you are complaining, you cannot complain. Give 3 complaints, okay, and suggest ways of curbing these 3 complaints. If you can give 4, okay, but just know that it's a formal letter and also it should not exceed 450 words. Now, formal letters, we have 2 addresses in a formal letter. The first address at the top right-hand corner should be the address of the sender, the person writing the letter. And then on the other side, just beneath the address of the sender is the address of the recipient of the letter. And that is the local government's chairman. You're writing a letter to the chairman of your local government association. So, the letter should be addressed to the chairman. Bring up any local government association. Don't just write chairman, local government association. Where are you from? If you're writing from Port Harcourt, for instance, we are in Obiakpo local government area. So you can say the chairman, Obiakpo local government association. Write a letter to the chairman of your local government association. So chairman, Obiakpo local government association. You can do that. Then after writing his address, then you have to write the topic, letter of complaint. It's a letter of complaint. If you can turn it into another thing, or make sure that there is a subject. The subject, formal letters always come with a subject. So, subject, letter of complaint, short and simple. I always advise, don't go and begin to speak plenty English so that you don't take the examiner's mind off what you have been told to write. It's straightforward. You are complaining, so it's a letter of complaint. If you want to be creative, you can write something else, but I just feel that since it's an examination setting, just be careful so that you don't veer off what you've been told to do. So, letter of complaint. Okay? About the increasing rates of child labor. Okay, so you know, in our environment, there are so many things, so many cases of child labor. When you look around our environment, it's something that is visible, not something that is hidden. So you write it, and at the end of the letter, you also salute yours sincerely, okay, yours faithfully, and then you write your name, your signature before your name, and then your designation. Are you, okay, you are the president of a youth club, okay? I left this part out. Your youth club should have a name. Don't just say president of youth club. Your youth club should have a name. Give your youth club a name, just as you're giving your local government association a name as well. All right. Then the body of the letter. It's a formal letter. You do not know the local government chairman. Do not go and start writing, "Dear sir, how are you? How is your family?" You don't have any business with his family and how he is. Okay? Just go straight to the point. I am writing this letter to express my what. You go straight to the letter. Okay? And at the end of the letter, you salute and write your write your signature, your name, and your designation. President, so and so youth club. And okay, then number 4. You're the chief speaker in a debate on the topic, women should not be in paid employment while still bearing children. Write your contribution for or against the topic. Now, you are the chief speaker. This is a debate setting. So, however you would have said it out if you were doing it orally is the same thing you're expected to do when you're writing on paper. So, you're going to start by giving honor to whom honor is due. You know, the chairman of the whatever, the debate society or whatever, your panel of judges, your co-debaters, and the audience. Okay, the timekeeper. Well, the timekeeper is not really necessary, but you know, chief speaker, debate, and they didn't give you a specific time limit, so there's no need for timekeeper rather. Okay, so you give honor to whom it is due, and then go straight to the point. Your first paragraph or in your introduction should let us know if you are for or against. And like it's an exam setting, I will also advise that you just bring out 3 points or 4. It shouldn't be less than 3, it should not be more than 4. Okay, 4 points that you can actually debate on. Your points. Women should not be in paid employment while still bearing children. Give your points. Why should this be so? If you are for. If you are against, do not just write what you think and then leave it. Just write, okay, I think women should not be in paid employment while still bearing children because it will be difficult for them to marry the two, their jobs, taking care of the family or taking care of their children and their jobs and all that, without extensively explaining. Now, if you are explaining a particular point, if necessary to give an example of a case that you know about, just so that you can sell your points much more, then please go ahead. So that is all for the debate. And then when you conclude in the final paragraph, you reiterate that you are either for or against the topic. And then finally, write a story that ends with the words, "That experience will linger on my mind for a long time." Now, story writing is actually very, very dicey because sometimes you're told to write a story that illustrates a saying. That is why those of you who are writing stories, I've been saying this in the class, your idioms are really important. Get familiar with as many idioms as possible. Now, this particular question is not an idiom, it's just a saying. Write a story that ends with the words, "That experience will linger on my mind for a long time." In this particular one, you can give this a topic too, or a title. Just be creative. If the experience was a negative one, you can give it a title, but not "That experience will linger on my mind for a long time." No. If it's a positive one, okay, same thing, give it a title. It heightens the expectation of the person who is marking. When he sees that, oh, the topic is something that is catchy, the person marking would want to read. And like I always say, when you're writing a story, your first paragraph is really important. Alright, so write a story that ends with the words, "That experience will linger on my mind for a long time." In this case, it is not an idiom. It's not an idiom, it's just for you to write a story that shows either a positive or a negative experience. If it's a positive experience, okay, let us know, show us what was so positive about the experience, how it affected your life, and then you end with "This experience or that experience will linger on my mind for a long time." If it was a negative experience as well, let us know how it impacted you negatively, and then end with this. This particular question, the story writing aspect, sometimes like I said earlier on, it comes with idioms. So students are encouraged to practice or to get familiar with as many idioms as possible because they can come from anywhere. So in a nutshell, this is a revision of essay writing. So I want you to try out any one of them that you can. I know that some of you have probably seen these questions and you probably tried them out on your own. But right now, I want you to try out any one that you know you are comfortable with. You already know which area you're comfortable with. Try it out and then submit to me via email or via WhatsApp. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.